We are now recording. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whether you're watching it with us live on Zoom or Facebook, or you're watching the recording on YouTube. Welcome to Coffee with a Mega. My name is Patrick Madigan. I'm the president of our Young Professionals chapter of Realtors here with Keller Williams in the Raleigh-Durham Metro in North Carolina. I've been involved for a few years, and one of my greatest privileges of being part of YP, as we call the Young Professionals Community, or KWYP, is hosting these monthly interviews with agents, most YP members from around the world who are living big businesses and even bigger lives. Today, we have the privilege of interviewing a good friend of mine, Darnell Aponte from South Florida. We're going to talk about his life, his business, so many things. And I'm going to make sure I have his bio pulled up over here so I can read accurately about Darnell's background. And we're just going to hear about what makes his business run from a mindset perspective, you know, what he does in the mornings or on hard days, and then also what he does tactically to build his business, for whether it's lead gen or open houses or sending out postcards. And so we encourage you to, I'm going to keep an eye on the Facebook chat. Feel free to put your questions there. Or if you're with us on Zoom, feel free to use the hand raise icon or put your questions in the chat, and we will make sure that your question gets answered from Darnell here. So we encourage you to come off your camera, or come on your camera, come off mute and watch. Let Darnell feel the energy here in the Zoom room this morning. And with that said, I'm going to read Darnell's bio and we're going to take it away. So Darnell is the founder of the Aponte Group at Keller Williams. He is a governor of the Miami Association of Realtors, the YPN board, and a Florida Realtors State Director. He's a 20 under 40-year-old YPN award recipient. So the Young Professionals Network, 20 people under 40 years old. A 40 under 40 outstanding young business professional for the South Florida Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and a repeat top single agent, a top commercial agent, and most recently, a top team award winner with his Keller Williams central office there. He's also, or is that a region or an office? KW Central.
It's an office. Keller Williams Central is our office. I'm part of the South Florida region.
Okay, got it. Darnell is also a proud RPAC member and a proud RPAC Golden R Major investor and a President Circle member. Darnell's a true testament of what networking and involvement should be, which we will absolutely talk about. His focus on building relationships locally and nationwide has helped him build one of the most successful referral businesses an agent can have. Now that's the professional bio. Now let me tell you guys about Darnell for real. No, I'm just kidding. Darnell, I do want to give a few personal comments on this, because Darnell, when I got into YP, is one of those people that you hear about before you meet him sometimes, or you see his comments, and this larger than life persona. And yet sometimes when you're around him, Darnell can be one of the quieter people in the room, and he's not going to go out of his way maybe to shake your hand. And so when I finally got to meet Darnell, what I met was a badass business owner, really friendly, someone who's passionate about food and cuisine. He doesn't have that in his bio, but hashtag Darnell Eats is one of my favorite hashtags on Instagram. We go to restaurants together. Anytime I travel with Keller Williams or with YP, if Darnell says, hey, I've got a dinner planned for tonight, do you want in? The answer for you and anyone else on this call needs to be yes. And you just trust and go with Darnell, because he's a true gourmand. He's a dog lover. He loves his Crocs. And one of my favorite things is just how he lives his life on social media, and is just one of those people that what you see is what you get with Darnell. And I know that his clients get the same experience. So that's what we're going to get today for about the next 53 minutes. Darnell, thank you for your time. Thank you for being with us here on Coffee with a Mega. And let's just jump right into it. How are you feeling today?
I am feeling wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you everyone for joining as well.
Of course, we're happy to. And if you're on the call, feel free to share this to your stories. You can hit the participants button at the bottom and share the link with anyone you want. This is open to any agent, anyone who's not in real estate as well, because what we find in these moments is a business owner like Darnell who's sharing openly and vulnerably about how he's grown to where he is now. So Darnell, we'll do a few quick questions. When did you get your license? How long have you been in the business?
It was June 16th, 2016.
Okay, awesome. June, the day 16th. Do you know the actual date?
Yep.
I love it. Do you celebrate every year? Is it like a Aponte Group birthday?
The Aponte Group wasn't formed then. It was just me for the first year.
Darnell Aponte, realtor. I love it. So what were you doing immediately before that, or how'd you get recruited into real estate? Tell us the story of how this all started.
So before that, I kind of was like I was just living off my savings for about 3 years. I really did absolutely nothing. I just hung out, I traveled, hung out with my dogs. Just enjoyed life, because prior to that, for many years prior to that, like 7 years, I think 8, I had a call center, had multiple call centers. Had one in Tempe, Arizona, and one in Florida, and then my family had about 5 of their own. We're all in the same industry, and we worked closely together. So I was a family member since I got them all into the business. That when they went on family vacations, I was the one that chose to stay behind to manage the offices. So like, I literally did not go on a family vacation for like 4 years. And I was working almost 7 days a week straight for 4 years, 4 or 5 years. So pretty much what I did there was generate leads for the for-profit colleges and universities at the time. So like Art Institute was one of my clients, Everest University, University of Phoenix, Brown Mackey, you name it. All of those guys were my clients, and I would send them. I did lead generation for them, ironically. So that's what I did immediately before real estate.
And then did you get recruited into real estate or were you looking
Not
for
at
an
all.
out?
Not at all. I was going through my savings, I'm like, it's probably time for me to start looking at a way to contribute to the savings of mine here. What could I do? What is going to allow me to make a lot of money? Honestly, that was my thought. What's going to allow me to make a ton of
Yeah.
money, but this time not have employees? Because I was in my 20s and I had about 80 employees in two different offices,
Wow.
two different coasts, essentially. I started in a garage with three of my friends that I convinced to work for me for free for a few months, and we grew to like a large organization. And I mean, like, you know what? This will be it. I had like literally, I never went to college. I was never a supervisor or manager anywhere. I just
Mm.
decided one day, like, I'm tired of making my bosses all this money. Like, I figured out the system. I can do this on my own. And I thought about it. Before that, when I was 19 years old, I was a loan officer. And what I
Oh,
call
wow.
the wild, wild west, it was 2005 to 2008.
Yep.
So I'm like, you know what? Should I get back into mortgages? And I'm like, no. Even back then in the early 2000s, it was a boring. It was not boring. I love the figuring out scenarios. It was just a lonely job because even then you weren't meeting your clients that often as a loan officer. They were
Mm.
using a fax machine to send you documents and whatnot, or would like physically mail their documents to you or drop them off. But like you really wouldn't be like face to face with your clients. So I'm like, well, I don't want to work from home or from another windowless
Mm.
office. What would be more fun? And I'm like, you
Mm.
know what? Let me try real estate. I always thought of it in my mind as a woman's job, and other people have
Mm.
told me in the past when I was doing mortgages I should get into real estate. And I'm like, you know what? Let's give it a try. And it was
Mm.
probably the best decision I've ever made in my life.
Other than being my roommate on KWYP trips, of course,
That
that's your
too.
that's your
That
your
number
really
two
first.
best decision.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you were in mortgages and then in the family call centers and then in real estate. Is that right?
Correct.
So yeah, you were in mortgages during a crazy time. I mean, if anyone hasn't yet seen The Big Short here, you need to go watch The Big Short. It's an amazing movie talking about what the wild west of mortgages was like and how that contributed to the global financial meltdown of
Yep.
2008, 2009, 2010. So you
Correct.
had an idea to really improve your life. You had a dream, and it sounds like you wanted to be around people more as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, a sort of job that's out of the office. You can use your gifts because although some people may see you as a quiet person and maybe even intimidated by you and your stature, one thing I forgot to mention is that your business last year in 2022 sold 58 units for 24 million in volume. And that's a huge business, especially for a solo agent or someone with minimal leverage. That's an amazing way to make a living. And someone could theoretically be intimidated by that, but you're such a warm person. So let's talk about that. Why do you like YP? What's this networking thing that you had in your bio? Why are you so involved in the realtor network? Why do you spend so much time with other realtors instead of with more clients? What's that mindset for you?
Well, there were a few questions there, so you might have to refresh it
Oh
for
yeah,
me in a
I'm
moment.
good at
Uh,
doing that. I ask a lot of questions at once. Let me start with this. Why do you love YP? We'll start there.
why do I love YP is that they are, our industry, the average age of a realtor in our industry is like still in the 50s. And that's come down by a couple of years recently, but like that's the average age of a realtor. So why I love YP is that, we get to network with like-minded people, people that are on the same path, the same journey. Most of us have really large goals and we can share what we're doing with one another, and it's not like bragging. It's not like
Yeah.
we're boasting. Whereas if I'm with my non-real estate friends and I mention something like, hey, I just got this $1 million deal on the contract, or I just had my biggest month. I just closed $5 million this month, and they it's like you're bragging or boasting to them, and sometimes they can get a little judgmental, even family. So with YP, that's never the case. Everyone's like, wow, how'd you do that? Or, okay, that's great that you did that, but like, this is how you get to 6 or whatever. So it's constantly being around people that are like a growth mindset. They always want to improve themselves. So like, why would you not want to be around a group of people, around a group of people like that?
Mm. So what impact has it had on you? How have you changed? How have you grown in these years? We've been about what, 4 years or so, 4 or 5 years you've been involved in YP?
Yeah, I've been involved for about 5 years, and I probably didn't travel until it was 2020, I think it was. That's when I started traveling, and I
That's a
think it
good
was
year for travel, I
2019.
hear. Yeah.
Yeah, everything shut down. It was like $50 for me to fly everywhere. It was
Amazing.
incredible. But I think 2019 was my first mm, mega camp, 2019
Mm.
or so.
Mhm.
And then I went to the YP event there. I'm like, wow, this is nuts. There's a lot of us because my local chapter wasn't really doing a lot. Like we're all familiar with, the value comes on the national level for the most part.
Mhm.
And so it's just improved my life overall. I have
Mm.
friends here that I'm gonna have for life. The relationships I've created, even if we're out of real estate, there are many people I know I'm still gonna be friends with and close with. It's taught me how to communicate better and just to think differently, just to think bigger.
Mm. It's one of the things I've noticed the most too. It's, when you join Keller Williams or any real estate, you you join locally first. You join with the people you know there in your market center. Often you have a friend who's worked there, or an owner or someone else who's had a successful business, and you join either their KW office or another one that's closer to you geographically. And then it's not that that's a small pond. And yet, if you have the drive and the skills to really succeed, you can pretty quickly get in the top rungs, or the top echelon, I should say, of your market center. And this isn't at all a ranking or a priority system, but often when you want to grow beyond that, you need to find people outside of that circle. And that's exactly what I've found in YP as well. It's, the famous quote that you are the average of the 5 people around you. It's in no way a leveling up or a leaving behind your old people, but it's being around people where you want to go, right? And also being someone who can contribute to them as well, not just being a leech on them, but growing with them. You're one of those people for me. And a good reminder for you guys to mute if you're on the call. I'll just mute everyone here. There we go. So Darnell, you mentioned travel, you mentioned the local versus the national benefits of YP. Let's talk a little bit about you being involved in the National Association of Realtors networking. You do a lot in the state of Florida. You do a lot with YPN. Yeah. Tell us about that sort of involvement and what you get from that.
Well, the reason I'm so involved in that is because of Keller Williams Young Professionals. And I'm like, wow, I didn't realize there was a group of people my age like this. But on the state and on the national and on the local level on the board, it's like, I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. It's like we're young professionals, but we're actually like, we're doing things that affect the public a little more than we do in Keller Williams Young Professionals. So like we are responsible and help make changes when it comes to like our voice is bigger, on the like legislative level, but on the state level. So I really enjoy that aspect of things as well. So if we want to make a change, there's no better way to do that by being involved on your local and your state association level.
So it's really a passion to be part of a solution, part of a greater future for the industry.
And even though Keller Williams is the largest real estate company in the world, we only make up 10% of all of the agents, which is a lot. But now, like, just think of young professionals, Keller Williams Young Professionals, but like magnified with everybody there, and all brokerages, large and small, working together for the same common goal. How can we help homeowners? How can we help the industry as a whole? So a lot of people don't realize the part that the board, the state and the local boards have in the decision making and for the entire state and the entire country. But we are extremely powerful, especially the young professionals.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really succinct testimony for why we all as KW agents should be more involved. There are often many other brokerages that may, like you said, they may not represent as much as the realtor population, and yet they represent a lot more of like the elected and the appointed officials within our governing bodies. And so if we want to be part of the solution, then that's a great way to do it. So I commend you for all your involvement there. Plus, it looks like you have some pretty fun trips to Dubai with the YPN.
Those trips are... The young professional trips for KW are incredible, and the events and the chapter launches. I love those. but it's nothing like on the local, state, or national level. Like we have trips almost every month. I feel like there's something for us to go to. Like there was one like 2 months ago, or in September, I think, to France. I didn't go to that one. There was a conference there. Forgot the name of it. We're going to Dubai in February. I had the opportunity to speak there. I mean, we get to expense an international trip. Like it's great to expense our local trips to chapter launches, but now imagine being able to expense or have your trip paid for when you go to an international trip. Those are really, really cool. And same thing if you're involved on your state level. There's always conferences, the state and the NAR conference as well. And if you're not involved as a major investor, or if you want some information on what it is to be a major investor for the RPAC, you guys can reach out to me anytime. But just being a part of the largest lobbying group in the entire country, I mean, we have a ton of power, and a lot of people don't realize what the RPAC does, and a lot of people don't realize or see the value in NAR, especially as of recently with what's going on. But like they're the ones that allowed us to work and become essential during the pandemic, when the world was shut down and the US was shut down. That's who fought for us to allow us to work. I know every state was different, but definitely get more involved in that as well.
And I think you mentioned what's going on right now. Is that a hint to the lawsuit that's going on that Keller Williams is really
The
going to bat
lawsuit,
for?
the scandal, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. So we are a massive industry, and a lot of tech companies are trying to disrupt real estate. A lot of other people are trying to DIY real estate, which is fine. That option always needs to exist for homeowners. And yet the majority of homeowners choose to hire a professional. And so if you're a realtor or an aspiring realtor and you want to have a future in this industry, you need to pay attention to what's going on, how NAR and how Gary Keller specifically, as the billionaire owner of the largest real estate franchise in the world, is going to bat for us and literally going to these court hearings to advocate on our behalf. It's something you need to pay attention to. So Darnell, thanks for your service in that regard. I want to talk about mindset a little bit, and we'll talk tactical shortly on how you build your business. Let's go back 5 years, because one of my favorite quotes is that we overestimate what we can achieve in 1 year. We're too ambitious, and we underestimate what we can do in 5 years. So I actually want to go backwards 5 years. It was 2018, Darnell. What are you thinking? What are you doing? What's different about 2023, Darnell?
2018 Darnell was buying leads from the devil, aka Zillow, and I was really successful in it. Like people would complain about how horrible they were, but like I was converting them. I had my systems down for that. But other than that, that's all I was really doing. Like at that point, I had yet to read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. I had a team of 5. I had no systems and models in place. I literally just one day woke up and decided to hire my old assistant from my previous business to assist. I got my girlfriend licensed, so she was like my showing agent. My brother was licensed way before me in another company. I had him join the team, and I had another agent. So I literally was winging it. I'm like, hey, I've had 80 employees in a call center, started from the ground up, and I've written scripts for my employees. Like, I don't need to read this stupid script or this stupid book, like I'm smarter than this. And that was a huge mistake. A lot of times people don't talk about their mistakes. They only talk about the successes and the fun stuff. So I'm going to touch on that. Like that was a huge mistake for me. And later that year, I realized that having a team was a horrific idea. I actually suffered a great loss because my agents didn't know how to actually close the leads like I could. I was spending thousands of dollars a month. I won't tell you how much. It's sickening to say it out loud. And I went back to being a solo agent, and that's when I did a bold tour, and that's what like really got me really dialed into Keller Williams. So I did 5 step ones in 1 week. And I drove, goodness. And on that drive, I listened to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent for the first time on Audible. So it was like an incredible trip. So I started in Pensacola, Florida. So I mapped out the bullets and I drove down to like Ocala, then Tampa, then like Orlando, then Punta Gorda. So every day I was at a new step one. So like I would have to like finish up and drive, get to a hotel, try to get as much sleep as possible because I needed to check out in the morning and make it to step one. And that's probably the changing point of my career in 2018.
You put yourself through a mental mindset boot camp of where you're in bold every day. And what we'll do is I'll explain this in a second, but going back to the beginning, you said you were buying leads from Zillow. So for anyone who's not aware, in real estate or in any business, Gary Keller, our founder, co-founder, says that everyone, no matter who you are, has two jobs. You have your job that you actually do, and then your other job is lead generating. If you're a dentist, if you're a coffee shop, if you're a therapist, you do the actual work, but you also have to get the clients in the first place, whether that's marketing or prospecting. And so there are a lot of ways to build your business. And Darnell was mentioning he was paying Zillow, you're probably familiar with the website, access to get the data for people who said, I'm interested in 123 Main Street. And then Darnell would get their number. No surprise, the guy who ran a call center with 80 employees was good at calling people on the phone, right? So what I'm hearing is 5 years ago, Darnell had a lot of skills that transitioned incredibly well into real estate in ways that other realtors were weak on the phone. And yet you also came in with a lot of ego of I've done this and I can do it better. And, you know, in Keller Williams, in the MREA book, we talk about the pyramid, right? It starts on the bottom are the models and the foundations and the systems that have been proven for decades since by other agents. And then on the top is the little triangle of creativity. And you, like many of us, wanted to flip that over. I'm going to build it on what I'm good at and what I think I want to do rather than following the models. I think any agent who's on this call or reading this has been, or watching this has been in the business more than a few years, has had that humbling moment of, you know, maybe I need to learn from people who've done it before me. And so the next thing you did was you went on this tour of Bold. Now Bold is a 7-week long mindset and sales skills course designed for realtors, created by Keller Williams. And what they do is they will have Bold in multiple cities, and the instructors will travel and they'll teach each step. So step 1, step 2, every subsequent week, they'll teach it in multiple cities. So right now, one of our good friends, Kyle Evans, is teaching 4 Bolds at the same time, where he's flying to different cities around the country. And he does step 1 in 4 cities. And then the next week he does step 2. So Darnell did the exact same class in 4 or 5 consecutive days across the state of Florida. Usually the participants don't travel. It's the teachers who do, but Darnell decided to. And so did you do all 7 or 8 weeks of Bold in all 5 locations, or just
No,
step
not
1?
at all. That would be insane.
Okay. That would be a full-time
So
job.
my goal of doing that was to, because that was my 3rd or 4th Bold at the time. And my first Bold that I took, I didn't even pass. Like I didn't even get my trophy because like
Didn't graduate.
I failed that. Yeah, I didn't not graduate. I thought that was the stupidest thing ever. I'm like, these scripts are silly.
Yeah.
I don't need little houses by my name. What am I in kindergarten? Ego. It was the ego, man. Yep. And then it was my 3rd Bold. I still saw some value. I kept on going back. So it was my 3rd Bold when I had my team, a small team there, and I figured, hey, I should probably do the things that they're telling us to do because it's proven. So that's when I started to realize, like, hey, these things work. I can't, like, I would always disappear each Bold when it was that half an hour for us to make phone calls. I would just go do something other than making phone calls. And I feel like a lot of us have done that.
Oh yeah.
But since I had 3 of my team members there, I'm like, you know what? Let me actually make phone calls. And that's what changed. I think that was the moment that changed everything, because in that 30 minutes on day 1 of my local Bold, I received 3 referrals. And one of them closed by the end of Bold, and I had 17 deals under contract in those 9 weeks. I'm like, hey, this actually works.
So you saw it firsthand. It's amazing what happens when realtors actually follow the model that Gary Keller tells us will work, and when we actually do it and it works, right?
Like, who would have figured that thousands of agents did this before me, and it works? No brainer, right? There was another part.
That was pretty much it. As if you had done the entire Bold, or just that step 1, that kind of week while you listened to the MREA.
My goal of going to so many Bolds was I knew I wanted to take it out of town because I wanted to grow my referral network. That's when I started to see the value of referral networks a little shortly before that. And I wanted to pick it with the best coach. So I wanted to take it experience step 1, because step 1 is free, right? So I wanted to experience it with 5 different coaches, and I let each coach know that they're being interviewed. So they would, like, each class, they'd be like, hey, it's Darnell Aponte traveled all the way from such and such. So, like, I was going to have to fly to the Pensacola one. I had already priced it out. And it was going to be reasonable. Like, all I needed was 1 referral from that Bold or any of the Bolds, and it would cover my expenses. I knew I had to get more than 1 referral. I'm going to be the only agent from South Florida in the entire room. So it was an opportunity to meet 80 to 100 agents in each Bold. And to this day, I still receive referrals from Bold step 1s. There's one agent I met in Ocala that sends me 1 referral a year that I close.
Wow.
So it was worth it.
So many
I
of
ended
us
up
love to,
picking.
oh, go ahead.
Mhm.
No, you're
I
good.
forget his name. I think he's in your neck of the woods. I'll find it.
Okay. Yeah.
He doesn't teach bold anymore, but he was really great. I know he's in the Carolinas.
Okay. Yeah.
He
There
stopped
was,
teaching about 2 years ago.
um, J. Michael Manley. He was in, I
I
think,
think
South
so.
Carolina. I want
I
to
think
say,
so.
if that's right. I never have never taken bold with him, but I'm familiar of his name as a coach. Kyle Evans or someone I'm sure would know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I want to hear more about this whole mindset thing. So today, let's say you wake up, or right after we get off this call, let's say you find out you were interviewing for a $3 million listing and they went with someone else. And maybe it's someone you've done more business than, or someone and you just feel like you're in the dumps. What does Darnell do to reset his mindset? Is it gratitude? Is it positivity? Do you take a walk in your Crocs? Like, how do you keep your mindset up? Because this business can grind you down if you don't take care of your mental health. So tell me what that means to you.
I'm definitely not taking a walk because it's very hot out here. Pretty much any time of the year. We only have 2 seasons, rainy season and dry season. But other than that, it's blazing hot all year long. But pretty much what I do to reset my mind is, I just love, believe it or not, like my KW community. We have a gratitude group chat
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook. That's incredible. Like, so anytime I'm in the dumps, like I will literally just go in the group chat and see like what are people grateful for today. And then you realize like how awesome things in life are. Like, they didn't
Mm-hmm.
hire me, that's okay. And I always reach out to try to get feedback. Not everyone provides feedback, but I always like to know like what was the deciding factor? What could I have done differently? So I always take everything as a learning opportunity. And I like to remind the sellers like, hey, it's okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings at all, but just be honest. Feel free to be blunt. Because
Mm-hmm.
this is the only way I'm going to be able to better serve my future clients if you tell me what I could have done to improve my presentation and what I could have done or said for you to hire me. And more often than not, I hear that it wasn't anything that I said or did. They felt
Mm-hmm.
like I could sell the home, but maybe they like this other agent more, or I've heard this a few times. They wanted to work with a female agent or whatever, or
Mm-hmm.
the other agent was the first and or the last. So everyone has a different reason,
Mm-hmm.
but it usually doesn't come down to skill. So that when I call and I get that feedback, it makes me feel a lot better too, and it helps my mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And often when you're in a business planning course, what we do is we plan out how many transactions we would like to do for the year. And we always have conversion ratios. So, let's say you go on 10 appointments, you can't expect to sign all those listings. And a good business coach will tell you, if you're signing every one of those listings, that means you're not talking to enough people, because you should be losing out on some. You cannot be the right fit for everyone. And so the more we face rejection, the more we can actually have those opportunities to grow. Gary Keller tells us too, we learn more when we fail, because when you're celebrating, when you're popping champagne, you're not learning about yourself. You're learning when you've missed an opportunity or when you have something to grow. So let's get tactical. If you're an agent that started today in this market, what would you do to build a business? Whether you have a sphere or not, you can approach it however you want. If you had a brand new licensee in South Florida, what would you do right now to go find clients?
What I would do is also open houses. I love open houses. They're our number 2 source of business for a team. And that's one of the things I built my business on. And many of you guys know Sasha. She was my first agent on the team the second time around. And last year in 8 months, she did like her first year of real estate did 4.9 million in volume, and majority of that was from open houses. She'll do about 10 this year, and I would say over 60% of that is going to come from open houses as well this year. So that's what I would do to get out there and reach out to agents and share the value, why they should let you do an open house. So I constantly receive emails and calls or text messages like, hey, if you have any houses you'd like for me to host an open house at, just let me know. And like, I know other agents receive that too, and that's probably not the
Mm-hmm.
best way. Like, I've trained my team to share the value that we provide. We have a nice, beautiful template that we share and what we do and how many signs we put out and why it's a value to the listing agent, why it's a value to their seller as well. So that
let's
would
role play
say
that real quick, Darnell, because I've never thought about my teammates are doing that. They're reaching out to other agents. If we don't have the listings, they ask someone else, hey, can we hold an open house on your listing? So let's role play that. Will you call me real quick and ask me how to
I rarely do phone calls. This is all
okay,
email. I'm
email. Okay,
passive,
great. Okay,
believe
well,
it
what
or
do you
not.
email me then?
So I'm going to email you basically, hey, this is Darnell Aponte with the Aponte Group. The subject is going to always be the property address. We've tested it out when we put like open house in the subject line, like we're getting a much lower response. When we put the
Mm,
property address, we get a lot more opens because
okay.
people think it could possibly be an offer,
Yep,
you
of
know?
course.
So they're going to open it up. They don't always respond, but that's okay. We're not worrying about the no's. We're worrying about the yeses. So I just let them know that, we'd like to host an open house and we have a system for it. They can free up some time by allowing us to do the open house, and they're going to look like a rock star to their seller because we're going to actively be showing the home. We're going to advertise it. We're going to door knock. We're going to circle prospect to get as many guests as possible to the home. And we're going to provide feedback for them so that way they can share with the seller. And again, so they can spend their weekends or nights spending it with their family or doing whatever it is that they enjoy. I show them some photos of like our marketing. I let them know we put about 20 to 30 signs out and all that fun stuff. It's like a 3-paragraph email. And
Wow.
then lately, in the past week or so, we've been testing adding bomb videos to them so they can like see us, because believe it or not, a lot of agents don't see the value in open houses. And it's oftentimes the agents will call us to get some more information. They're like, how much does this cost? We're like, I get that question a lot, like absolutely nothing. For us, well, what's in it for you? Well, for us, we get to meet new buyers, and hopefully we get to bring a buyer to your listing. And that's our goal, but we just get to be introduced to new buyers and you get some of your time back. So most people that call will allow us to do the open house. Some people don't see the value in it at all. They're like, no, like it'll be like a vacant listing, non-seller occupied. It's been on the market for 3 weeks. And it's like, why would you not let us do that? But it's okay. We're not worried about that. Like, especially like my friends that are in 72 sold, they're like, no open. We're against that. Like, that's not in our model. Like I have one guy in my office that is on that. He's like, no, we'll never do an open house. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's okay. You're not worried about the no's. You're looking
Yeah, it's
for the
okay. I'm
yeses.
not worried about that. Just keep it
Yeah.
moving. But it's like a numbers game. So like we'll email 20, 30, 40 people a week, sometimes more, to get the opportunity to get 3 or 4 open houses. We prefer the passive way, but you can also call as well. I just don't like to disturb people. And even though it's not, we are coming from contribution and we are providing value. I feel like it's just like we've gotten a better response that way. And when if they have more questions, they'll call. And
Yeah,
we even have at least one agent a week that asks if they could co-host it with us. Like, I've never done an open house, or I don't know how to do it. And occasionally we'll let them, with the agreement that all the leads are ours, or just shadowing us.
Yeah.
If you are allowed to use your home, sure,
yeah.
feel free to see what we do.
So I love this. And I mean, I'm selfishly going to take some more time on this because this is a tactic we're trying to do in our business. In the past, we've found that some open houses are not as rewarding in terms of foot traffic as others. So we've started to come up with a few rubrics for ours, like a certain price range, or we always want the home to be staged. Partially, that just gives you a place to sit if you need to sit down. So you're saying you're doing 20 to 30 emails a week. Do you have any sort of filter or any criteria, or are you guys willing to take any open house you can get?
So we definitely don't want any open house. I let my agents decide who they want to email, and where they want to host an open house. Like, for example, Sasha lives on the east side of town. Like, she lives closer to the ocean. Mario and I live closer to the Everglades. So when she does her open houses, she prefers them to be as close as possible to her home, because she's trying to like build a little farm area and get more recognition in a certain area. Same thing with Mario. He prefers them in certain locations, but he's newer, so he'll pretty much do them anywhere. Each one of them has a different price point. Like, I think Mario does like 400,000 and up in our market. Sasha, I believe, does like 700,000 and up. But the most important thing is days on market. You don't want a stale listing. I don't recommend doing an open house on a listing that's been on the market for more than 2 or 3 weeks, because anyone that was really interested in it at that point would have already seen it. They would have scheduled a showing or potentially visit another open house for that property if they had one.
I love this. Perfect question. 1 minute ago, Christina Alexa, shout out Christina in Las Vegas. You're the bomb. She asked us, do you do open houses on listings that have been sitting? For example, what's the largest days on market you go? You just answered that. About 2 to 3 weeks, you said, is about as far as you want to go.
The only way that, I just sent you my template also, Patrick, for my open houses.
Wonderful.
But
if anyone wants that, just let us know. We can forward. Darnell, if that's okay with you, if we share that with people who
you can have them reach out to me directly, and I'll send it.
Perfect. That's great. Darnell, we'll go ahead and do that. How do people get a hold of you?
Darnell at the apontegroup.com.
Darnell at the Aponte, APONTE group.com. Great. It's a great way to email Darnell. Yeah, it's a very, I'll say beefy email. It's got a lot of content in there, which is sometimes hard for realtors because I know I'm busy. I don't always see these. Yeah. I like the way you did the template, insert property address before sending.
Yeah, that's for the agents. I didn't have a property address. I just sent it out to you.
Yeah, I love that.
But go back to the question on the days on market. There are some exceptions to the rule. You know, if it's a property that's in a high traffic area, we may do it as well because we know just because of the location, people are going to stop it anyways, regardless of how long it's been on the market, because it's something that's easy to get to at the beginning of a community or on a high traffic road or right off of like a major artery where like it's only one turn to get to, or you can see it from the main street. Whereas if it's something that's like deep in a neighborhood where you have to make like 3, 4, 5 turns to get to, I'm probably not going to do that there, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And do you have a favorite time to do open houses? Like, do you do the typical Sunday, Saturday afternoons, or are you exploring the weeknight
we do open
evenings?
houses 7 days a week. I haven't figured out, I haven't noticed at least a trend like, hey, if I do them between this time and this time, we get more traffic. Like I have yet to notice a trend in that, because there's the homes that I'm like, wow, we're going to get so much traffic. Like, let's be prepared. Like, 4 people come, and then there'll be a home where like I bring my laptop and I'm just planning to just get a lot of work done. And if 1 or 2 people come, great. And then those are the ones that are flooded with people. It's like, where did all these people come from? So like you never really know for sure. There are some properties, that are like at the average price point or below, or like incredible, you're going to get a lot of traffic to simply because of the price. But I feel like it's not predictable. So like we'll do open houses on a Tuesday from 4 to 6, 4 to 7, on a Saturday from 10 to 2, or Saturday from 2 to 5. Like I've done open houses as late as 7 p.m. and as early as 10 a.m. pretty much any day of the week. If I have a vacant listing that is near a school, elementary, middle, or high school, I'll time it also for the time the school begins or school gets off, and I'll just make it like my mobile office for a few hours, because the parents may be willing to view it after they drop off or before they pick up their children or afterwards. And we all have to work anyway. So might as well, if you have a vacant listing or a listing you can host it at, like that's what I consider a high traffic area. So you need to know the neighborhood as well. And I'll just sit there, just put some signs out, put it in the MLS. And if anyone walks in, it's just a bonus because I have to work anyways, right?
Yeah. I love that. That's fantastic. So we've talked about open houses, and you mentioned they're your second highest source of business. I'm assuming the first one is agent referrals, or is there a different one?
Agent referrals for sure is my largest source of business. Last year, I sent out $123,000 in referral checks to my agent partners. So it's definitely a very large part of my business.
That's amazing. So agent referrals and then open houses. Are there any other lead sources you have? I know we're not supposed to really focus on too many all at once, but what is maybe 1 or 2 others that build
my third one is going to be SOI. But funny enough, right? Like my agent to agent referrals and my SOI, like the databases overlap, right? Because a lot of you guys are like my friends. You're part of my sphere of influence. But we're also agents, right? So it's hard sometimes to separate it. But I make sure, like, if it comes from an agent, I consider an agent to agent referral. Many of my referral partners are in my personal sphere.
Yeah. And so for anyone who's wondering what SOI means, it just means sphere of influence, or essentially when you get into business, who's already in your cell phone that you can call? Who are your friends? So Darnell, I know you're really busy. Do you do anything for fun or leisure that is maybe considered lead generation? Like, are you part of any groups or meetups, or do you have a lot of people over to cook once a week, or what do you do from a social perspective?
I'm always having dinners and events at my house. Like yesterday, I just started planning or planned 2 Thanksgiving events. I'm going to do the third one. So I got my family started. I let them know like, hey, whose house we're doing it at this year. And I created like a shared note so we can put who's bringing what, where's the guest list. But simultaneously, I also created an event and invited my fellow board members for the Miami Association of Realtors. And then I'm gonna do one for like my actual friends that are not realtors. So typically I'll do like, for example, I'll do 2 different Friendsgivings at my house. I like to put groups together to also go out to eat and try restaurants. And any day I can, I love to be out somewhere on the water or by a pool somewhere, but I wouldn't say I necessarily do that as lead gen in person. Like I may do that lead gen online. It was about 3 years ago. My team leader wanted to meet with me and I was always against them. Like I don't need coaching, still in the ego phase, right? I don't need coaching. Like I'm doing well. I make hundreds of thousands of dollars without coaching. I'll pass. And it was during COVID. And I'm like, you know what? Let me actually do the coaching. And the week before coaching, I signed up for like Mojo and I got Cole Realty Resource and like I ordered stuff. And so on my first meeting, I'm like, hey, I'm ready to go. I got this. And he's like, why would you do that? Let's figure out where your business is coming first from, and then we'll double down on that. And then that's for the first time ever, I started writing out like, okay, this is where this deal came from. And I realized the majority of them came from social media. And they all started as one of my best friends, business partners would write on my posts, hashtag Darnell eats, hashtag Darnell bikes, hashtag whatever. So he started that movement just to try to be an annoying friend, but like it grew and then people started tagging me and like it became a thing at conferences and events where like you said at the beginning, like if I share like, hey, I'm doing an event, a dinner, a lunch somewhere, like people naturally come. And I started it at Mega Camp and our family reunion in Dallas in 2020, I believe it was. And I did my first Darnell Eats dinner, like an official dinner. There was like 20 something people that signed up. And that's like my lead gen. That's how I build relationships, going to these conferences. Like, probably shouldn't say it, but I don't get a ton of value anymore from going to the actual event because it's always the same things regurgitated over and over again, just by different people, or they might just put a different title on the session. But we know it comes down to making contacts, right? It's all this is contacts. At the end of the day, your database, how are you being in touch with people? So I just like to do small micro events, I would say, at these conferences and launches and whatnot. And just, I call it like the Kardashian effect, where people want to know what other people are doing. And that's why reality TV is so big. And once I realized that, I just started doubling down on it. So whatever your interests are, just do more of that, whether you like cycling or going to CrossFit or tennis or doing crossword puzzles. You're not the only one. There are a lot of other people that feel the same way. So just feel free to be more open with those things and you're going to build rapport with people. People first need to like you and then they need to trust you and then you'll get their business. So just be yourself and like stop posting, an open house or under contract because people genuinely don't care about that. So that's my long answer for, that's mostly my lead gen. I'm not a cold caller personally.
Despite having such success operating call centers, you do not do that as part of your business, which I love. You're true to who you are and really what motivates you. If you're not motivated about running a call center, why would you build your business around that? I love what, were you in the YP breakout that we had at family reunion when Jason Abrams
spoke? With Jason?
Yeah, excuse me. Mega Camp, the one in August in Austin. Yeah. Were you there?
Yeah. So I love that. And I've brought it up probably 3 different times since then on other calls I've done. And you're talking about what Jason said. He started writing like, here are 100 different ways to do business. And he spoke about Harrison, like his thing is parties and this other person does this. And I'm like, that's great. Like I never saw it that way. So like if there's 100 different ways to generate business, why are you doing one thing that you don't like? Why are you door knocking? Why are you calling expireds if you don't like that? So figure out what it is that you like and build your business around that. Like that's kind of what I've done.
I love that. It's so funny because during COVID, I got kind of obsessed. I went down the rabbit hole on watch collecting and learning about watches. I don't know if it's a mix of my ADHD or just how much I love watches. And on Monday, this past Monday, I just went to my first ever watch collectors meetup, and it was one of the most fun, genuine events that I've been to. And I was like, why don't I do this just for myself? You know, you think so much as a realtor, you need to always be on, you need to always be lead generating. And yet that is true. You know, that will grow your business. And yet you also need to be a human that just does what you like. And when you do what you're like you're saying, Darnell, you're going to be around people who like you first and foremost, and you're going to generate the type of clients you want to work with. You know, you may have success doing cold calling, and yet are those clients the ones that you're going to mesh with the most, you know? And so for me, going to a watch collectors meetup, my goal is not to get business out of it. My goal is just to be a fully passionate human about what I'm doing in my life, a human being, you know, rather than just a realtor. And yet I'm sure there will eventually be some business that comes out of it. And so what Darnell and I are referring to, if you weren't there, KW Young Professionals has our own private breakout sessions. And this year, Gary Keller actually came to speak to us directly, in addition to Jason Abrams and Wendy Papazan and some amazing people. And Jason had this really powerful exercise where he had us shout out every single way we could think of to find clients. And then he said, why would you pick one that you don't like? Do what you like and call it lead generation. And so I would encourage you guys to do that. Just like Darnell's hosting dinners, you know, you may not think to do that. You may want to do YouTube. You don't have to though. So many realtors now are succeeding with YouTube, but if you don't love that, why would you force yourself to do it just to do what someone else is? You know, don't compare your insides to someone else's outsides, as we say within KW. Darnell, a few questions here from the chat. Shout out to Nate Bailey from Nashville, Tennessee. He just said, yes, sir. That was about 8 minutes ago, so I don't know what that was referring to. Winston out of New York, Manhattan, with the Wheelock Group said, "Yer," and then he said, "I like being a degenerate. Where do I find people like me?" And so, Winston, I'm gonna let you talk to Darnell about that offline. If anyone else has questions, let me check the Zoom chat here. Kate Carlton would like your open house script so you guys can connect. And Matt just says, "Darnell the GOAT." What's up, Matt? So Darnell, we got about 10 more minutes left here. We're going to wrap up. I want to ask you this, just open mic for you. Is there anything that you don't get asked that you wish people would ask you about, or just anything you just want to share with people who may be listening?
I think you were the one that sent me that question to ask Mark King, right?
I was, yep.
I'll share his video with you today when I answer that. I haven't posted any of that yet.
Yeah, I'm excited. You've been teasing it.
Is there anything that I don't get asked that I wish people would ask? Honestly, I wish people would ask me less questions. No, I'm just kidding. That's a tough one. Really put me on the spot with that one.
Or maybe anything someone may be surprised to know about you, or your story, or something you're passionate about, perhaps.
I guess I've been a serial entrepreneur. Like I'm against working and having an hourly job. I've only had one hourly job in my entire life, and I ended up turning that into the largest business I've ever had, which was that call center. That my family still is in the call center business because of that, and I just don't like it. So that, and what else? I wish people would ask what. You asked me actually, like, what do you like? What do you do? Like, what are your hobbies? What do you do socially? Kind of. That's really it. I think people are pretty open these days. They ask everything.
Yeah, fair enough. Maybe they ask too much.
Sometimes things that they shouldn't ask.
Oh, and Nate said that his yes sir was in reference to building community around the things you love, like food, micro events, and stuff like that. All right, well, let me ask you a few rapid fire, just for people to get to know you better.
Does anyone have any questions?
Anyone on Zoom? Open call. Got a few more minutes left. I'm going to do some rapid fire before we hop off. Okay, we'll keep going. Feel free to raise your hand or just come unmuted. All right, Darnell, I probably know the answer to this one. Mountains or beach?
Beach.
New York or LA?
LA.
Okay. Europe or East Asia?
East Asia.
Cool. Last meal on earth, what restaurant or what meal are you having?
Yeah, it's so hard.
Okay, I'll give you 3 meals. How about that? Last 3 meals.
Right. Oh man. I love basically anything Italian. I love a good chicken franchise. That's great. Some braised short ribs with some mashed potatoes. delicious. And this is like a comfort meal that they make a lot in Puerto Rico because of something you eat when you're not doing too well in life, when you're a little poor. But my grandmother used to make it, and I love it. It's rice with like little Vienna sausages in it. Sounds weird, but it's delicious.
Yeah.
People always assume that I only go to fine dining restaurants, or like even my friends and family, they're like, oh, I don't invite you over as much because I feel like, like you're not gonna like this. But like, no, I post those things because they get a lot of engagement and interaction. But like I eat everything,
I love it. Is there a name for that rice and Vienna sausage meal? Is there like a Puerto Rican?
It's called arroz con salchicha. So rice with sausage. Literally, that's what it translates to.
Arroz con salchicha. That's great.
Some beans. It's like a really popular dish.
Beans and rice. That's great.
Yeah. Really
or beans or rice and sausage. Okay, let me tell you this. You're throwing a dinner party, and I'm going to let you invite, let's say it's you and 9 other people, table of 10. People from life, business, mentor, people you would love to talk to. Who are you inviting? I'm not going to make you pick 3. I'll let you rattle off as many as you want.
9 is a lot. So yeah. I definitely have Elon Musk there.
Okay.
I'm going to have Jay-Z there because he's a genius. I'm going to definitely want to have Phil Jones there. He's incredible. I've been loving his book these last 3 months.
Yeah, he was amazing at Mega Camp in August.
I would have Donald Trump there, not because I support his political decisions, but because he's hilarious.
It would be an eventful night, that's for sure.
It would
it would not be boring.
No, honestly, I would have some super really intelligent people there, like masterminds like Elon and Bezos and Jay-Z and whatnot, but I'd also have some entertaining people there as well. Like I'll definitely have Britney Spears there. There's no way I'm not. If I can bring 9 people, Britney Spears is one of them for sure.
I love it. We're probably right around there. So we'll check out the chat here real quick as well. Winston said wrong answer over in New York over LA. Christina Alexa shouted out Cafecito. And also she wants to know, what does your schedule look like? Maybe do you have a morning routine when you go to bed? Do you time block? Just tell us about your day to day.
You know what? That's something that I'm working on. I need a better schedule. I don't have the schedule. I do live by my calendar. So like when I have calls like this or things I need to do, like those obviously take precedence. I don't miss appointments. But like when I have something really important, I'm going to put it in my calendar. I'm going to live by that. Like that's the first thing I look at when I wake up in the morning, or usually before I go to sleep also, so I know what's coming the next day. But my schedule is not the greatest. That's something I need to work on and do time blocking on. Since I don't have like the traditional prospecting, like phone calls and whatnot, I normally wake up like at 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30. We have a team meeting every morning with all of the team members at 9 a.m. And then I just do what needs to get done. I'm a night owl by nature. So like I will stay up till 2 o'clock regularly working on it, especially as of the last 2 months, because I switched to a new CRM and just learning it and tagging all my data. I have almost 7,000 contacts I've acquired over the years. And so just organizing my data and building out more systems and whatnot. That's really my schedule. So I just deal with mentoring and helping my assistant, my agents, and I have 4 coaching calls a week essentially, and 1 large team meeting. So I have 2 coaches. So I have basically 2 1-hour calls with my coaches. And then I have coaching calls with my 2 agents as well. So that's more of like a weekly schedule versus like a daily schedule. Like this is what I do daily.
Well, yeah, those are weekly blocks that fill in your calendar, and then you can do your other, activities around that. So that makes sense to me. And, none of us are going to be experts at everything. And so thanks for your honesty and vulnerability that this is an area that you're growing in. Katie Broski, thank you for always supporting these Coffee with a Mega calls. She chatted here. She said, what's been your most successful or favorite social media post or content that you've created?
So are you asking like one individual post or like a type?
Yeah, Katie, feel free to come off. There you go.
Sorry, I have a crying baby here in the background. Both. So do you have like a single post that just like took off that you love? And or do you have like a favorite hashtag, which I could probably answer that for you, but
I would say my favorite post that I've ever posted was maybe like 2 years ago, and I recorded a buyer who like got on top of like an AC unit and something else to like try to peek in the attic. And it's like when you don't want to pay to hire an inspector and you do it yourself, and that one got like a ridiculous amount of views and shares and reposts. So I just like to post things that I find comical, like just things that I want to share. And then the type of posts I post, I love obviously to post food related posts, but I just like to post like things that I'm doing. I'm starting more to actually be purposeful with my post and like try to add value and post why this is important or what you can get out of it or why you should do certain things. So that's what I've been working on lately for the past like month or so. Just actually putting like more value out there instead of just purely fun stuff. If that makes sense.
And I mean, credit to what you're doing. I'm seeing a lot more of your videos show up. And as we know, video is a great way to grow your business. And I love that you're doing it authentically. You're wearing your Crocs by the poolside. And so it's you in just a different format. It's not a fake version of you or a more polished version. It's you, which I love. And so I think a lot of us can take advice from that on just being our authentic selves and whatever it is that we're doing to build our businesses.
Oh, wait. So like that one that you're referring to was a $1,150,000 listing, and like I had actual shoes on, like people in my office will tell you, like there's I think one person here, Sophia, like when they see me in pants and shoes, or God forbid I have a jacket on, they're like, something big happened today. Darnell's got real clothes on. But like typically I'm in a t-shirt, maybe a company polo, some shorts and some sandals or some Crocs. So like I did that listing video because the videographer thought it would be cool, and he knows me. He's been a friend of mine for like 15 years. Like, hey, that's your personality. Like, keep those Crocs on. So like he like zoomed in on them, and the amount of engagement I received from that was insane. And the house is under contract, so it worked.
Last question, Darnell, for everyone. I give you a billboard in South Florida along a major highway, and you can use it for whatever you want. It can be some Drake lyrics. It can be an inspirational message. It can be a joke. What do you put on a billboard for the world to see?
Man, you have some really good questions. You're a great interviewer. I just want to say that.
I borrowed that one from Tim Ferriss, one of the best podcasters and interviewers in the world. So I can't take credit for it, but thank you.
Okay. Yep. Hey, you're using it. You're really making me think today. So what would I use it for? You really asked some really thought-provoking questions here. What would I use that for? Patrick, this is tough, but I would definitely make it a fun billboard. Honestly, I may put myself in some Crocs and ask them if they'd like to work with the fun realtor and get like a free home analysis or market analysis. Reach out to me. I'm professional and fun.
I love it. Darnell, thanks so much for your time. It means a lot that you share your wisdom. It means a lot to me personally that you're a friend of mine and you're helping us grow our Keller Williams Young Professionals chapter here in the Triangle. If anyone wants to reach out to you for your open house email template you send to agents, or for advice on lead generation, or to get the advance invite for the next Darnell Eats events in Austin or in family reunion coming up in Vegas, what's the best way to reach out to you? Email, text, let us know.
Email or Instagram? Instagram for sure.
Instagram at Darnizzle or the Aponte Group?
Darnizzle. There's no Aponte Group. Every week I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll make it a professional one, and then I'm like, no, that's not my authentic self, and people are not gonna engage with it the same way if I just have a generic team Instagram.
Yeah. So I love that. At Darnizzle, Darnizzle, or it was Darnell at theapontegroup.com. Is that
Darnizzle. Oh yeah, Darnell at theapontegroup.com.
For your email. Yep. Wonderful. Yep. Darnell, thanks so much for your time. I look forward to seeing you in Vegas. Thanks to everyone who's been on this call, and quick shout out to the KWYP Triangle chapter. Yesterday, we had our first leadership meeting with all 10 leadership spots filled. When I took over the presidency this January 1st, we had 3 leaders, and to have 10 in a year was a goal of ours. YP has changed my life. I'm so grateful to be here. If you're on this call and you're with Keller Williams or you're considering it, check out kwYP.org. It's it's a community of our business dedicated to developing the next generation of leaders, whether that's in real estate, in your family, or anywhere in your community like Darnell's doing. So thank you for KWYP. Thanks to Darnell, everyone who's been on this call. And we will see you next month with Danny Barron out of Cincinnati, Ohio, second Thursday of every month at 11 a.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Take care.